Welcome everyone to the penultimate game of classical chess at the FIDE World Championship 2024. We have the host Maurice Ashley introducing the players, and Ding Liren is here, the world champion, and his 18-year-old challenger Domraju Gukesh. And today Gukesh has the white pieces to make the first move. We have the FIDE president Arkady Dvorkovich. And Dvorkovich asks Gukesh what move to make. Gukesh says any move. Knight f3 has been played there. Will Gukesh keep that move on the board and start the game? Not really. He turns the knight around, brings it back to its initial square, and let the games begin. A handshake here. The clocks have started, and this, dear friends, is the ambit recap of the day. Gukesh opens his game with 1 e4 and presses the clock. Wow, we did not see this coming, because Ding's French defense has stood very strong. Oh my god, he plays it again. Third time in the match. Ding Liren has so much trust on his French. d4. Gukesh is like, I'm going to break your French today, Ding. d5 on the board. And what has Gukesh prepared? He goes knight to c3. He has worked on this. This was the opening we saw in game number 1 as well. And now Ding Liren thinking, he goes knight to f6, the same opening that he played. Gukesh had pushed his pawn forward and he does so again. e5 on the board, and now the knight goes back to d7. In game number 1, Gukesh had gone f4 here. So a small change. He brings knight ce2, and his point is, if you go c5, I want to play c3 and bolster my structure. He does go c5 on the board, and now c3 is going to be played here for white exactly. And this is a well-known position. Knight comes out to c6, and one of the main moves here is f4 or knight f3. These are the most probable moves, but he goes a3. a3 has been played here by Gukesh. And now bishop to e7. Just developing a piece. Ding plays it after around a 15-minute think, and Gukesh blitzes out bishop e3. Check the timeline. He has only used 55 seconds. Meanwhile, Ding Liren is put under some lot of pressure. He's now thought for 55 minutes. Because this is a new move. It has never been seen before. And Ding goes slightly wrong. He goes knight b6. Maybe the best moves here were a5 or b5 or even queen b6. But he goes knight to b6. And now he wants to come to c4. But a fantastic move by Gukesh. The knight on f4 is looking at this square to attack here, opens up the queen, and the bishop on e3 does an amazing job of defending the d4 pawn. The knight is powerfully placed. He takes the pawn on d4. And I believe Gukesh is going to take back with the pawn. Yes, he does. He takes it back. And Ding Liren now, if he castles, he can come under a very strong attack with bishop d3. So he goes knight c4. He's attacking the b2 pawn. He's attacking the e3 bishop. And maybe it's time for Gukesh to chop it off. Yes, he does. Bishop takes c4. And after pawn takes, a great move would be queen g4. Attacking here. But you have to calculate. Queen g4, what happens to knight d4? Long castle and white is better. But Gukesh doesn't want to enter these lines. He goes knight g2 and defends the pawn. Slightly circumspect there, slightly careful, a bit too careful to my liking. But white still has a small edge, and Ding pushes his pawn to b5. His bishop is going to come here. His knight will be perfectly placed on c7 to d5, jumping in. White just castles it out here. And the white pieces are fantastically poised here. Castles. The black's biggest trump card is the light squared bishop, but we'll see how it works out. For now, knight comes to c3, attacking b5, looking at e4 square, also opening the path of the queen. Rook comes to b8, defending the pawn. And now he goes knight to h5. Look at how Gukesh turns the knight and moves it. Knight h5. A very cool move looking here. And if g6, this would be catastrophe because after knight f6, the dark squares are too weak. So Ding actually goes f5. A very, very interesting move. Gukesh chops off the pawn. And now bishop takes f6 is a must. Otherwise, if gf6, it's just mate. Yeah, here. So bishop f6. And now Gukesh can take, queen takes and push d5 when the position becomes a bit too simplified, but white keeps the edge. Instead, Gukesh goes queen f3. He's eyeing the knight on c6. And knight d4 is possible because after takes, rook takes, queen g3, threatening the rook. There is this insane move, knight f3 check. But Ding goes queen e8. He's keeping an eye here, keeping the knight defended on c6. We have only 17 moves played here. 23 more to make. Ding Liren has 41 minutes. Gukesh has 43 minutes left. And now Gukesh takes the knight, takes the bishop on f6. Knight takes f6. The rook will take back. Ding comes back with a banana there. It's important for the players to feel good, to feel energetic. And now Gukesh comes back with the queen. He has a great position. Why? He's going to put his knight on e4. Maybe can go to c5 or d6. Pawn to f3. Rook a d1. Rook f e1. Bishop f2. Bishop g3. So the queen comes to g6 here. And he plays his pawn to f3. I love this move because the knight will sit here. Bishop f2. Bishop g3. This is going to be very, very powerful. And the rook goes back to f8. So how does white continue now? Gukesh first brings the rook in, keeps the d4 point guarded. He has a very solid edge here in the position. Ding goes knight e7 and instantly bishop f4. Look at that shock on Ding's face. Rook f4 is met with queen e5 with an insane double attack. A shocking move there and the best move. Gukesh starts blitzing out his moves. Bishop f4, bishop c7. He's playing this so quickly. And now the rook goes back to b7, bishop d6. Last three moves with the bishop played at the speed of lightning by Gukesh, making Ding bleed on time. Rook e8 played here. And now this rook is a little bit awkwardly placed. Rook f e1 would be fantastic. White has a very tangible edge, but Gukesh wants clarity. He wants to take on e7, rook e7 and say that his knight is superior to the bishop. Well, it is for now. But if the rook goes to c7 or d7, bishop comes to b7 and d5, it would be a great position for black. So the queen moves into e5. It's heating up. It's heating up like crazy here. Ding Liren goes a6, defending the b5 pawn. It was being attacked. And now should we push the pawn to d5? He does it. This is a move that has to be made with great responsibility. Because for now, you open up the bishop. You make black get rid of his only weakness on e6. Check. And now if the bishop blocks in, you can go queen c6 with rook d8 attacking a6. So he goes queen e6. He tries to block the check with the queen. And now how does white react? Queen c5. Fantastic move. Threatening rook d6 here. Rook goes back to e8. And now Gukesh has a big choice to make. He goes rook e1. Point being, if you take here, he's happy with two rooks versus queen position. But Ding goes back. He does not take on e1. And this is actually a winning position for white. He must take and play knight e4 with the threat of knight d6. It's huge. It's huge. Gukesh must think here. He must take his time and find this winning idea. No, he goes knight e4. He doesn't trade, and this is winning on all moves except rook f8. If Ding finds it, he has 8 minutes to find this move, rook f8. Otherwise, knight d6 is absolute killer blow. Even if you play a move like rook c7, there's knight f6 check, taking here, and then this is hanging. Well, Ding finds it. He's world champion after all. Fantastic defense. Knight d6. Rook comes to c7. If you take on f7, I'm going to take on c5. Not at all easy. The queen has to move. He goes queen e5 here, centralizing the queen. The knight is centralized. And now queen to f6 played, offering a trade of queens. Queen d5 check, king h8. And is there any way that Gukesh can try and continue? He can go and knight e8 fork here, but there is queen b6 check, unfortunately. So he goes rook e5, ding comes rook e7. With just 3 minutes on the clock, the players still have 5 more moves to make. But rook f e1, I think they will manage this, because the worst seems to be over for Ding. He takes on e5, rook takes e5 played. And 3 more moves for Gukesh, 4 more for Ding. And another classy move, h6, just taking care of all the back rank issues. Queen c5, he's eyeing the c8 bishop, also the f8 rook. Bishop comes up to d7. And the knight goes back to e4, attacking the queen. The queen has to move. Queen f4. And check and take here on b2 is a threat. It's a big threat. So he goes rook e7. He's attacking here. He's giving up a pawn here, Gukesh. He's reached move 40 and Ding has an important decision to make. Ding doesn't go for it. He stays solid. A very logical decision. Both players get up from the chair because 40 moves are completed. They both needed a small respite there. Queen d4 played. Attacking g7. Also keeping an eye on the b2 pawn. And white's position looks great, but black is very solid now. The arbiter comes and gives the players the new score sheet here, or just, oh, he's just checking, by the way, rook g8. And Ding had time pressure, so he hadn't written down all his moves. He now jots down all the moves and thanks the arbiter for the score sheet. Rook g8 defending against the mate. And Gukesh has lost all of his advantage, unfortunately. And I believe that a draw is the most likely result here if black chops off the knight at the right moment. But still, Gukesh, he gives a check. King comes up to f2. Ooh, Gukesh holds on to his king for a bit. Check here. And let's see how Ding deals with this. Because we all know that Gukesh wants to continue playing till the end of the game. So first takes on e4. Rook takes e4 played. And now pawn to c3. This move is a very interesting move by Ding. Because if you take with the queen, I take and play rook c8. And then want to draw quickly with rook c4, rook a4 to attack here. But Gukesh decides to take back with the pawn. And now, how does Ding continue? Because if rook c8, once again, you know, you don't want a mating attack here. So he goes queen a3, he wins the pawn. King comes up to g3. Queen b3. Rook to e7. Attacks here. Keeps an eye on the g7 point. a5. And Ding wants to make a queen here. Rook to b7 played. Putting pressure here. Queen c4. A trade of queens is offered. If you take, Rook will come in and try to win this. He goes queen e5. Queen c6, attacking the rook. And a very interesting point here is, after he takes with the queen, but if you took with the rook, a4, rook a5 and rook a8, and black is doing completely fine. The a pawn is just too strong. So he takes with the queen. Queen takes c3 by Ding. And now maybe Gukesh will win this a5 pawn here. But in the end, we will reach a 3 versus 2 position, which is a draw. A queen e1 check. A king comes to h2. Offers a queen trade here. He takes on b4. AB. Rook to b7. And Ding activates his rook. Now the way in which this position is drawn is that black just needs to activate the king a bit, keep the rook somewhere on the 6th or the 6th or the 5th rank, and just continue hassling, or maybe get the rook active and keep an eye here so that white also cannot easily start pushing the pawns. King comes up, but you can see now the problem is that this is under pressure, so the king cannot really move upwards. It's a bit irritating there. King h7 by Ding. Rook to b5 played. And you want to play h4, h5 next. King g6. He goes f4. King f6. King to f3. And rook c2. He plays his pawn to g3. Another check. And king comes up to g4. Rook moves to a3. And you can give a check here calmly. But he plays pawn to h4. And you can see how Gukesh is slowly and steadily trying to make some progress. But Ding is always keeping his eye on the pawn that is at the bottom, not allowing the king to move ahead. A check, king comes back. And Gukesh pushes his f pawn. You have to be careful a bit. h5 played here. If you take the pawn, rook takes g3 and black should be fine. So Gukesh comes to f4 and now a check. If you go king g5, once again check and you lose g3. So he comes back to f3, doesn't go forward. Another check. King comes up. Check. King comes back. Check. And the players are repeating their moves. And it's a draw that has been agreed here between Ding and Gukesh in the 13th game of the match. The scores are tied 6.5 points apiece. We'll go into the final game with a level score. What a match this has been. Gukesh today was very close to victory, but Ding Liren just hung in there. He did not give any real chance once Gukesh made that small error with knight e4 instead of taking the rooks. And you can see there, Gukesh looks very calm, very stoic. He tried his best today with white pieces. I think this is just the kind of game he expected, just that he couldn't finish it. Perhaps it's happening more often than what Gukesh would have imagined, not converting the winning positions. But the challenger is giving it his best. Meanwhile, the world champion is not easy to pull down yet. He's also fighting really hard, which means that either we'll have a match ending in the final game, or we will see tie breaks if the last game also ends in a draw. Gukesh gets up from the chair and the boy continues his grind in Singapore.
This December, the world's top chess minds clash in the heart of New York City at the FIDE World Rapid and Blitz Championship. Witness world number one Magnus Carlsen and other stars from across the globe. Rapid and Blitz, chess in its most thrilling form, unpredictable and unforgettable. Fast moves, tactics and blunders, and moments that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Witness the pinnacle of chess excitement. Get your tickets now at worldrapidandblitz.fide.com.